All right, so we just have 4 walls and a floor here. We're going to add our foundation walls on today. What you do will depend on what sort of foundation you intend to have. As we discussed before, we're going through a project right now where you are deciding on the type of foundation walls you're going to be adding into your building. You also have decided at some point in this process whether or not you're going to have a full basement or if you're going to be having a crawl space. That will decide how far down you'll be placing some of these different levels we'll talk about today. So let's go ahead and take a look at my levels. I see my levels by going to an elevation view. I can pick any of my elevation views to see my levels. I'll go to my north here, and I can see right now I've got a level 2 and a level 1. Let's actually switch back real quick and make my walls the right height by changing their top constraint up to level 1. I'm sorry, up to level 2. There we go. And now we go back to my levels. We can see level 2, level 1. I need to add some more levels that I'm going to use for the walls that are below my floor level. So to add levels here, I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and I'm going to look over here at this section of my ribbon bar. A moment. Okay. So I'm going to go up here to my datum section over here to the right of my architecture tab, or my architecture ribbon. I'm going to click the level button. I click the level button. I now get this little plus sign, and it gives me information as I go to click for how far down I am. I'm just going to click for now and change my information later. You'll notice it snaps to the edge of the lines that are already there. So I'm going to click and bring this over and click. And this is for the bottom of my foundation wall. Top of my foundation wall, I'm going to attach to the bottom of my floor level. So I'm going to add this level here. I'm going to name it. You notice I didn't name my level 1 and level 2. You'll have those named floor and roof. I'm going to name level 3 here. I'm going to call this BO foundation wall. Bottom of foundation wall. And I'm going to bring this down to a negative number below my floor level. How far this is depends on whether you're having a full basement or a crawl space. This will depend on your conversations you've had with your client. If your client requested specifically a full basement, you're technically not allowed to have that by Habitat for Humanity guidelines, which means you'll need to have requested a variance from the foreman of the project, that's me, in writing and have that signed by you, your client, and myself. If you got that approved and you had that in writing with a signature, then you can have a full basement. Full basement will have a bottom of a foundation wall at -8 space 0. If you're just doing a crawl space is 4 feet below that level, and so you're just going to do -4 space 0, and the bottom of the foundation wall will be 4 feet down below. Now, you also need to consider your frost depth. What is your frost depth in the area you're building this foundation in? Have you guys done that research so far? Working on this for a couple of days now. Do you guys have the frost depth available? And can you give me a rough number? Is it 10 feet? Is it 2 feet? Is it 20 inches? So is 4 feet below the frost depth of this area. So can I feel pretty confident putting the bottom of my foundation wall at 4 feet? Okay. I need to consider that. It's something I have to think of, but I feel pretty confident with this, so I'm okay with the foundation being at 4 feet. I could put it higher than that based on my frost depth, but because of how I'm creating my crawl space, I don't want to put it higher than that. I want it at 4 feet. So you put this where you want to put it based on what you're creating. Now, I want one more level, so I'm going to zoom out, go to level again, create another level across, snap here, and this is for the bottom of the footer. You remember when we looked at creating our foundation walls and I drew on the board and I showed you we were going to create a footer? This is that wider section. I'm going to make a 1 foot thick footer. This is going to be 1 foot below the bottom of my foundation wall. So if I'm doing a crawl space here, I'm going to go -5 space 0 and make this level. I'm going to call this one BO footer. Now it's getting a little cramped in here, isn't it? Everything's overlapping. I want to show you I can change how these levels look a little bit. Do you see? It's really hard to see, and the more I zoom in, it doesn't make these symbols any bigger. But can you see right here? There's a little Z symbol, a little break in the line. If I click on that, it adds an elbow. I can grab that then and bring this down. And I can add an elbow to this one as well. And that makes it a little easier to read my levels. Now, I'm going to go to those levels. If you notice over here under my floor plans, I have level 1, level 2, bottom of foundation wall, bottom of footer. We draw walls on the level that's at the bottom of the wall that we're drawing. That's why I added these specific levels, right? I draw the walls for my house on my floor plan, and the walls go up from there. Does that make sense? So I'm going to start on bottom of foundation wall level, and I see this outline here. What's this outline of? What's this showing me? Any ideas? What can I see? Existing floor. Remember what I can see when I'm on a floor plan view. It is this, remember I liken it to a drone that's kind of hovering above. The drone hovers 4 feet above the view that you're on and points downward. It has this kind of cutting plane 4 feet above. Well, if my level is 4 feet below my floor plan, I'm just at the right level to see that edge of my floor, right? I can see my floor. If I select this here, I'm actually selecting my floor, and I get the chance to edit my floor here. So I don't really want to see the floor. I want to see my walls, right? I want to use my walls as the things I'm going to trace around. I'm going to add something that we haven't worked with yet. If I scroll down over here, notice there's a section on, if I'm on my floor plan, if I select off of everything, and I have my properties for my floor plan, there's a section for underlay. Underlay is like having tracing paper over the floor plan, so you can see the floor plan as you're working. So my base range here for my underlay, I'm going to choose the level that I want to see. I want to see level 1. And look down. I'll add apply. And now I can see my level 1 walls. I can't select them, I can't do anything with them, but I can see them. So it's like I have tracing paper and I can kind of trace over them. So now I'm going to go ahead and select wall. And there's already a wall built into Revit for foundation walls. I select my drop down, scroll to the top. Under exterior, I have foundation 12-inch concrete. And that's going to be the wall we'll use for our foundations. I'm going to start right here. Bring it down to here. And notice I'm not seeing anything, and I get a notice that popped up saying nothing was visible in this view. Any ideas why I could not see anything in this view? What did I do wrong? I'm going to undo that drawing because since I can't see it. It's somewhere, but I can't see it. What I did wrong was the default for all walls, as I click on them, is for them to be on level 1 and level 2. I need to adjust my levels. So I'm going to make sure that my level is base constraint, bottom of foundation wall, up to level 1, and make sure my base offset. It wants to give it a base offset of 12 inches. It wants to shift it down by 12 inches because sometimes people use that for foundation walls. The way that we've designed our house is such that we don't need that offset. We just want it to go from the bottom of the foundation wall level up to level 1. So I'm going to delete this base offset and just go 0, 0 for this offset. So remember, it's always important to check these properties. It's always important to check these properties before you do anything. From bottom of foundation wall up to level 1, 0, 0. Top constraint is invalid for the level. So for some reason, our foundation wall type is being difficult and doesn't let us use top constraints properly. I don't know why, and we don't have time to dig into it right now. So what we're going to do, instead of giving it a top constraint, is we're going to do top constraint unconnected. I do not prefer to do things this way. This is not the typical way we would do this. We're going to do top constraint unconnected. Base constraint, bottom of foundation wall. So the bottom of this is attached to the bottom of foundation wall level. And then we're going to make sure our base offset is 0, 0. Base offset is, if I say the bottom of my wall should be what bottom of foundation wall level, and then if I give it an offset, it would be the bottom of my wall would hover above that. We might want to do that sometimes if we have a wall, but we want to have it start above that point. Does anybody here have any place in their house where there's maybe a beam that goes through your house and is covered by wall material, something like that? You can like walk through a space in your house, but like there's like a partial wall that sticks down from the ceiling a certain bit. Nobody has anything like that in their house? I have one of those in my house. It's like a 2-foot wall that sticks down a little bit from the ceiling. And you would have to do something like this, where you'd have the wall connected to your floor level, but then give it an offset of 7 feet or so, so it would stick up above. That's why you use a base offset. We're going to give it an unconnected height of 4 feet because we know that that's how high the wall should be. And now we'll draw it. Now, as you can see, it's not perfect at the moment because I'm having issues with the connections because I can't actually connect to those walls. What I do is I draw it roughly, and then I come in, because it's a little thicker than the walls that I have, and I'm going to use a tool I just showed to Ari yesterday. I want to make sure that all my walls are actually a little bit outside of my original walls of the house, so I can see my walls on my house. You see the walls of the house are here, foundation walls are out here. And I have a tool under modify that says align. Align means make these two things line up on top of each other. I'm going to click the align button, and then you select the thing you want to align to first, and then the thing that you want to align to it. So for example, I want to snap to my interior wall here, and I want my foundation wall to connect to it. Interior wall, and my foundation wall to connect to it. Hang on here. That one's messed up because it was overlapping. There we go. Interior wall, snap. Interior wall. Snap. Interior wall, snap. So now my foundation walls are lined up with the interior walls of my house. Let's go to 3D so we can see what this looks like. There's my foundation walls of my house. Now we're going to draw our footer. We go to our bottom of footer, and we're going to go through the same process again. Now I can see my foundation walls. That's all I'm seeing here are these foundation walls. I'm going to go to architecture wall, make sure my foundation wall is selected. Again, I'm at bottom of footer. I'm going to go unconnected. I'm going to make sure my base offset 0, 0. And my unconnected height is 1 foot. I'm at my 1 foot thick wall here. Now for this one, I want a thicker footer, right? Remember, I don't want a 1 foot thick footer. I want a 3 foot thick footer, right? I have to change this wall type a little bit. I'm going to go to edit type, duplicate. I'm going to call this footer wall. I have to change my cast in place concrete here thickness to be 3 feet. And I'm actually just going to come around here and draw it bigger in the house. I need to line it up. What do I want to line up here? Previously, I wanted to line up the interior walls of my house with the interior walls of my foundation wall. What do I want to line up in this case? I don't want to line up interior walls of the footer with the interior walls of my foundation walls. What do I want to connect? I mean, so far I drew my footers way farther out than my foundation walls so that I could see them separately and work on them separately. What do I want to connect now? Not the extruder. The center lines. I want the center of my foundation wall and the center of the footer to be lined up. So the footer extends to either side of my foundation wall equally. Does that make sense? So I'm going to click my align. That's why I have them so far away from my foundation walls so that I can work with it. My modify tab, align. And you see here, as I hover over my wall, I get the exterior wall, center line, interior. I'm going to select the center line of the wall I want to align to, center line of the wall I want to align to it, and they snap. Center line, center line, center line, center line, center line, center line. Now it's all nicely lined up. And there we have our footer. You guys can see from the bottom here. There's our foundation walls. There's our footer. What am I missing? I'm going to go down some stairs. I'm going to do what? I'm just going to fall into some dirt. It really depends on what you're trying to accomplish here. If this is a crawl space, and remember, we did a 4-foot basement right here, so we made a crawl space, right? Understand what a crawl space is. My grandparents had a crawl space growing up. There's a panel on the floor. Take the panel off, and you literally crawl into the crawl space. I mean, it's a 4-foot space. You're not walking around in there, right? Place where you shove some boxes. It's like an upside-down attic, kind of. For them, their crawl space was dirt. They didn't have a floor. It was dirt under the house. Are you going to have dirt under the house for your client to put for their crawl space? If so, don't put a floor here. If you're going to have a poured concrete floor as part of your crawl space, then you need to put one in. I'm going to show you how to do that. If you have a different material for the floor, figure out how to do that. If you're going to have a full-size basement, as part of the contract with your client that you're going to put through a variance that you're going to get signed by me, I'm repeating this because you have to do that, and none of you have done it yet. Then you need to have a poured concrete floor as part of that basement. I'll show you how to do that. What level does that poured concrete floor go on? Bottom of the foundation wall. It connects to the bottom of the foundation wall there. So let's go there. Bottom of foundation wall. I'm here. And I'm going to make that floor. I'm going to go to architecture, floor, change my floor here. And I'm going to pick a floor. Which one of these floors is the best one? I don't see when it says concrete. Do you? I see LW concrete and metal deck. That's a lightweight concrete and metal decking. That's a commercial floor for floors of buildings above the first floor that use a special metal decking system. That's nothing we've talked about yet. Steel bar joist VCT on concrete. That's again a commercial floor we've not talked about yet. And then this is 3-inch lightweight concrete on 2-inch metal deck. That's a heavier duty metal decking and concrete floor, composite floor, again for commercial buildings. So we're going to start with generic 12-inch filled and modify it. Edit type, duplicate. Or Cast in place. And we're going to come in here, edit, change material, because generic floors, generic walls, whatever, have no material. We need to give it some material. Material, and we're going to go concrete, and we're going to look for concrete that makes sense. Concrete that makes sense. Let's see here. Concrete. Concrete precast are panels that are made off site and brought in. We don't make floors out of that typically. Concrete walkway is outdoor concrete. We don't use that indoors. Those are my only concretes I'm seeing that don't have exclamation points. Here we are. Concrete cast in place gray. There we go. That's the one I'm going to use downstairs. And I want to try to get the ones without those exclamation points as often as I can. Remember that. Whenever you use the ones from this lower panel here, remember this lower panel we get by hitting this button right here? I always must hit the up button to load it into the project and then double click on it. How thick should my basement floor be? Anybody? Basement floor? We're going to make it a foot thick. Leave it at a foot. Hit OK. Hit OK. And we're going to just select our walls here. And go. Let's take a look at 3D. And now I have a floor. If I section view that off, we can see downstairs. If I come in here, do a view, that. We can check out our basement. There's our basement. Questions about foundations and basements? All right. Your goal is to finish the project that you were working on, get it done, choose foundation walls, choose a basement type, get the basement done. You're not putting any stairs in of any kind at this stage. I'll get you through the process for stairs if you need them. If you're doing a 4-inch crawl space, you need no stairs. If you need help, please let me know. Today and tomorrow, you're going to wrap up putting foundation walls in. Go ahead and get to work.